Welcome back to another episode of Back Half Hustle with my co-host Terry Kelly, where we discuss different tactics that you agents, that realtors, or even business owners can use to finish the year strong. So today we're going to be talking about call to action video. So Terry, what is that? I mean, do you mean I can't just record a video, say, hi, my name is Matthew Soto with Stats Realty Group. Thank you for coming to my channel. I appreciate it. Bye.
You can. You can do that all
Oh,
day
okay.
long. But here's the
Okay.
thing, and it's not even just call to action on just video, it's call to action on everything, right? So we talk about making phone calls. The call is to get someone to do something, right? Buy, sell,
Yep.
invest, whatever. Same thing goes for when we meet people in public. Same thing goes for when we record videos. So you might be doing a tour, let's just say of a house. Cool, you did a tour. People are going to watch it. You're going to get great views, but it's not going to generate business, right? Why is it going to generate business? Because they don't know that you want anything other than to show the house. So that's why we talk about call to actions. How do you feel that you're doing on your video content that's actually generating business?
Probably horrible, to be honest. I mean, because we do the video tours, right? But that's all. We're just showcasing the house. Great. But there's no call to action for people to respond to it other than in our title or in the description, but not in the actual video that they're watching. Most people are watching the video, but they're not reading the description, right?
Right.
So you got to actually have it in both, or vice versa. People are reading the description while they're watching the video. So there's just different people doing different things on the consumer side. And so a lot of times, we got to have that better call to action. I got to get better at putting a call to action. As agents, sometimes we feel that it's sleazy, right? Or if we have a call to
Salesman.
action and it's really not, it just depends on how implement the call to action. Like if you're always saying, hey, call me if you want to buy a house, call me if you want to sell a house, that's the fucking worst, call to action there probably is.
Yep.
It's how you frame the call to action that's going to work. And that's what I've been working on all my videos as we progress, all my emails, all my text messages, right? Everything
Mm-hmm.
to have a value kind of made call to action and frame it different so I don't feel like that sleazy used car salesman. And sorry, I'm no offense to any used car salesman out there. That's just a slogan or saying that people use for years and years in the past. But
So
I think that's what it is.
I'm willing to argue that having a call to action is more important than telling people who you are and where you are. Because number one, same thing, who you are and where you are, it's right there in your title. They're watching you, they can see you. But they don't know why you're making the videos. They don't know why you're telling them what you're telling them. When we say call to action, though, I think we also have to talk about what you say, right? So you mentioned call me. In my opinion, that's the worst call to action. Because what's the last thing a person is going to do? They're not going to freaking call you. They're going to say, oh, yeah, haha, and they're going to keep scrolling. But what if you could say, DM me? Right? Now you have systems out there with automations like ManyChat or whatever, right? DM me for more info. DM me for this. DM me the word this, and then you're going to get this. That's where people are actually seeing that conversion, right? And so at that, you're then lead capturing if that's what you choose to do with that. And I think Sharon actually did this in Hawaii at an event that he did, and he said, you tell your wife to call, they're not going to call. They're going to text. They're going to DM. They're going to something, but it's never going to be to call. So I think call to action needs to be figuring out what your viewers, what the people you're trying to attract actually want to do, right? So when I make my videos, I'm making it a point now to never, number one, never, ever, ever start with who I am and where I service. Never even get to that in the first 20 seconds because we know the watch frames, right? At best, I have it flash up on the screen at the very end. But it's got to be, and I did it today actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I was filming this morning and I said, if you want to get started, call me. I might have to go reshoot that video because they're not going to call. They're going to see it. They need to take quick action right then, there, in that second. So,
Yeah.
what other things do you think we could do to make a person react right then and there?
It's like what you said, right? It depends on what we're doing. So let's say if we're doing a property walkthrough video, right? We actually need to say, hey, book a 15-minute game plan call with me, or schedule your private showing for this house if you want to see more, right? And it comes down to like even Sharon, like, he had mentioned one time about doing a virtual open house where you have a Google Drive folder and it has all the raw pictures, it has the floor plans, it has the Matterport, it has the videos, it has everything in this Google Drive folder. And when we're marketing it or we're putting things out there and we're saying, if you want to see more, like in our email campaigns, right? If we want to see more pictures, if you want to see all the photos, here's the Google Drive link.
Or
Send
DM
them
me
to,
blah, and I'll send you the link. Yeah.
yes, and then you send them the Google Drive link, which it's a private, so they have to fill out their information to get it, right? But yet they're given access to it, right? So think about, a lot of times agents are using your free CMA, stuff like that. Well, how about get your net proceeds snapshot, or if you're have a buyer guide or a seller guide or you're moving to DFW, download the DFW move plan, or we're doing these webinars. Join us Tuesday's webinar. It really depends on the different type of things that you're doing, you know, um, and whatnot. And it's like what you said, like if hey, do you want to see all the open houses in Wiley, Texas? Reply map, and I'll send you a map of where they're at
So
like
I'm
you
going to
mentioned.
ask you that because I hear you in your videos a lot saying you're in Wiley, Texas, right? But you also mentioned DFW. So if I'm an outsider watching your videos, I don't know the proximity of these two locations, right? So because I service a broad range, a 75-mile radius, when I say Valley, Alabama, people are like, well, I don't want to go to Valley, Alabama. I want to go to Columbus. Well, how do they know I service that area? So, what do we do in our videos with our call to actions, not to only target the people in the city name that we live in, but the whole service area that we service?
You know, I think it really depends on your avatar. We've talked about it before, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I am trying to grow in Wiley, Texas, because that is the town that we live in, right? 60,000 plus population. But I also service all of Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, the DFW market. So for me, I mentioned both for the avatar that's in Wiley, as well as the person who's in Mesquite or Dallas or Fort Worth or all these other towns that are in our Metroplex, because the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex is a huge area.
Yeah.
And so I think it just boils down to who you're talking to and who you want to you capture. If people are relocating here, they tend to know where they're coming because of a job or they have family or in the area. It's very rare that people relocate to Dallas Fort Worth, right, the DFW area, not knowing where they're going, where the close proximity of the towns they want to be in or near.
Well, I'll tell
Um,
you from an outsider coming in. I know where the stadium is. I know where the Star Stadium thing is, and I know where downtown is. And so if I were coming, I'd be like, I think the Star thing was kind of country. I don't really want to be over there. And I think the downtown was way too daggone busy. So I don't think I want to be over there. But that's all I know about per se your area.
it's crazy that you feel that the Star is in Frisco, Texas, which is one of the fastest growing cities here in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex,
Well, see, and I don't know that.
where all the big corporations are going. But for you, it felt country when you went to go visit the Cowboys,
Well, look,
over
because here's
there.
the thing. We were downtown Dallas. We caught an Uber. We're chilling, we're riding, we're talking to the Uber. And I just felt like we went forever. And when we pulled up to the Star, I mean, it was a nice little complex, but that's all I remember seeing. I wasn't paying attention enough. But not knowing the statistics, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing is that I love scrolling TikTok. We all know that. And lately I've been seeing these mansions. I mean, just big, beautiful houses. And they have, I want to say they're teaser prices. I don't really know. Because I'm like, there's no way that house is like 400,000. It's like some 5,000 square foot house, whatever, right? And so I look at that and I say, if I had that here, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So I think that people are seeing the videos and they're thinking things. But for me, and I'm relating this back to how I would market in my area, is how do I get them to hit that button, right? So like I think it was yesterday, I seen it was something that said, look at the back of this house, because we all know you draw people to the back of the house. It was a big, gorgeous, beautiful front of the house. They did not go inside. They flew the drone over top of it and they showed the backyard. All the comments are the pool's too small. But it was a big, beautiful house. They never talked about the price. They never talked about square foot, bedrooms, bathroom, but you saw this big, beautiful, dreamy looking house. The call to action on that is what? Because they said the pool's too small. Those comments could turn into something else. Well, why do you think the pool was too small? You know what I'm saying? So I think there's those hooks in that, and sometimes we overthink it, but it's the littlest things that will actually get people paying attention to your videos, and
Yeah.
then being like, hey, maybe I should call Matt because Matt knows a little bit more than I do about that specific area.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if we talk about, let's say, a video call to action, right? There's really six core parts, right? There's the hook, there's that 0 to 3 seconds in the very beginning that, it's that pattern interrupt that people are going to say, I want to see more, right?
Hmm.
Then you have to go into whatever the problem is or the desired outcome is, right? So, a few seconds on, say what they want to hear or maybe what's painful for them to hear, and then you go into the credibility or the proof, a one line of authority or a quick result kind of action or talk or script or whatever. But then you also have to add the value, or,
Right.
a lot of people miss adding value. And that is what is going to, I think, hook more people into it is the value you're offering. So what do they get, like specific or tangible? Is it a downloadable item? Is it seeing more pictures? Like what is that value that you're giving? But then you get that call to action, that one action, the say it, show it, or put it up on the type screen, and then the reason you end it with the reason they need to act for it,
Yeah,
right?
I
So it's
agree.
not only like, hey, DM me to see more. No, DM me to see more because we have 5 showings already scheduled and you may be missing out on this property. Like
Exactly.
a reason to say, oh shit, I like what I
Urgency.
saw.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the urgency
Yep.
now is what is going to be at the end, right? But if you're not hooking them in the very beginning, they're just going. Like a lot of agents, you can look at your videos if you have the Meta, if you pay for Meta, which is very cheap, and it gives you tons of analytics. If you're posting on YouTube, you can get your analytics from there. You can see the watch time. Are
Hmm.
people watching past the 3 seconds or the 4 seconds, right? And if they aren't, you need to start changing that hook, that intro to figure out why, and then test it and see if whatever that hook was is getting you more views or more watch time on that video where they're maybe seeing all the way through. And you can tell if people aren't seeing the video all the way through if you have a call to action at the end and nobody is coming to that.
Nobody's clicking on it. Correct.
Nobody's clicking on it. Nobody's downloading your stuff. Nobody's calling you. That means you need to rework your video,
Right.
right? And use Chat GPT, use Gemini, use all these other AIs, right? These AI platforms are there to give you frameworks on how to do things. Don't copy and paste. Oh my God. I texted you the other day, right? I saw an agent copied and pasted their Chat GPT. They spelt the cities that they're promoting their listing in wrong. And it's like, that's because Chat GPT copied it and they just copied and probably pasted it wrong.
Or even worse, where they keep the quotations. My son called one day and he goes, Mom, I can always tell when you use ChatGPT. And I said, why? He said, you leave the quotations. And I had to call the back end and I was like, guys, stop that. Because it ain't me. It's somebody else
Yeah.
doing it. But yeah, you got to be careful with all those things and be
Yeah.
real. Like really be real about the stuff. Now, I'll change the question to we get into real estate to be real estate agents. We don't get into real estate to make videos. I hate being on camera. Why do I got to be on camera? Reality is, real estate agents have to be on camera. Real estate agents have to tell what they do. It's no longer the. I remember when I got into real estate and I went into the office that I was working at the time and they said, email everybody in your database and tell them what you're doing. Now I would say, get on social media and tell everybody in your database what you're doing. Forget the email. Nobody cares. Don't send a postcard to your best friends. They don't care. get a slide text or something and send a mass text to all your friends, whatever. But technology, I mean, everything everybody makes a decision on today is in this phone. Everything.
Yeah. And I care to differ, but you are right in some aspect. I wouldn't forget about email because I think email marketing, if it offers the right value, is still the number one marketing out there versus video versus social media versus paying ads. Like if you go to all these platforms that do all these, analytics and stuff, I want to say email marketing is still the number one type of marketing that you can do. But are you hooking them in the title? Are you hooking them, in the subject? Are they just deleting it and sending it to spam, right?
So
But
can you see
yes,
the click rate on your email campaigns? I think you can with like
if you
follow-up bots,
use
I know you can.
if you use the right
Yeah.
CRM platform, yes, you can. Or if
Yeah.
you're using like MailChimp or stuff like that, I want to say they give you data analytics that click your open rate. But it's like what you said, we become agents. Nobody tells us, you know, what is that saying? Don't be a secret agent, meaning you still have to tell everybody who you are, what you do, kind of things, just do it
Yep.
a different way. And yes, sometimes doing it on your phone and social and videos, they have to know who you are. They also have to know what you do, right?
Yep.
I see so many agents that are like, I do post on social media. Okay, great. What are you posting?
I
Yeah,
rolled up
but
in a new
Johnny
Bugatti,
Joe,
dragging across the
Betty,
floor.
I'm running, I'm working out, I'm eating, I'm going to Disney, I'm doing all this family stuff, and great. You're a great mom and dad, you're a great brother and sister or whatever. Where does it say anywhere that you're a real estate agent, that you're a
Right.
realtor, that you're a business owner of real estate, right? Nowhere. Now, I'm not saying to spam your feed with you being an agent, you being able to help people buy and sell. But at the end of the day, you still have to put it out there.
People need to know what you do,
People
period.
need to know what you do, period. And that's in any business, not just being in real estate, right? That goes for anybody. If they don't know what you do, you can't be mad if they don't use you.
Right.
And you can't be mad if you've only told them once 5 years ago that you first got licensed and they just bought a house yesterday, but you never talked to them again.
Right.
You can't be mad at that.
And I will say, unfortunately, I would get too tied up in making the videos and not following up through them. Maybe I didn't have the call to action, something, whatever. But then I decide, okay, let me go work my database. And the way I compose my database is if you're in there, it's because you asked to be in there. It's not because I gathered information, and put it there. But I would see someone close on a house and I'd be like, what the heck? Well, guess what? I sent them a few messages. I never went and checked how many times they opened them or, whatever. So I didn't follow through with them. I just assumed when they were ready, they were going to call me. They didn't. They called someone else because someone
Yep.
else was their friend or their family or something, and they talked to them. And here I am posting videos and not following through. So you got to do all the things. It can get hectic. You got to make a plan, make a schedule, map out your day. Like I'm going to check my mass email sent out like at this time and just check in and see what's happening because even the call to actions as a solo agent, adding ManyChat, adding all the things, you're gonna get a bunch of messages, you're gonna get bombarded, so you just got to be smart about how you're doing it and where you're doing it. And the worst problem to have is too much business coming in that you got to hire somebody to help you with it, period.
Yep. Yep. Awesome. All right. What else do you got before we wrap it up?
So biggest thing, call to action. Don't ask them to call. Forget the call to action. Maybe text to action or click to action. Don't call. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for business. Don't be afraid.
Yep. Yep, I agree. So everybody, if you like what you heard today, make sure you comment in the sections what your biggest call to action or your reach out to action, whatever you want to call it, is and what's working in your business right now. We want to know in the comments. And if you want to join one of our private Facebook groups, reach out to us, DM me or Terry, and we'll add you to it, where we also dive deeper into these topics that we talk about on a weekly basis. It's called Let's Grow Real Estate Network on Facebook. We're happy to add you there. But in the meantime, be sure to reach back out. Watch us next Tuesday, where we dive deeper into a different tactic that you can utilize in your business today to get business to push forward to the end of the year.
Let's do it.
Thank you all.
See ya.